tell me you weren't about to send that salmon back. The look on your face gave it away.
I considered it for half a second, then I saw how proud he was bringing it over. Couldn't ruin that.
You had the about to talk to the manager eyes, though.
Never. I like to let life surprise me.
And?
Surprise was pretty good. Extra lemon, zero complaints.
Cheers to that.
We did not see ourselves as criminals. We saw ourselves as men restoring order. The war had ended, but the surrender did not settle the matter. Power had shifted into hands we believed unfit to hold it. Men who had never governed. Men we said were being used by outsiders. Men whose votes threatened our land, our labor, our way of life. So we organized. We met quietly at first. Farmers, planters, veterans, men who had lost the war, but not the will to decide what came next. The plan was simple. If ballots could not be controlled, then behavior would be. If law would not protect our interests, then pressure would. We wore red so we could be seen. So there would be no confusion about who held the ground. Red meant unity. Red meant warning. Red meant resistance. We did not need to speak loudly. A ride through town was enough. A presence at the polls was enough. A job denied, a lease withdrawn. A lesson delivered once, so it would not need repeated. When violence came, we called it necessity. When blood was shed, we called it consequence. Hamburg was not an accident. It was a message. The militia was not confronted by chance. It was removed by design. We told ourselves the state had to be redeemed, that South Carolina belonged to us again, that order must come before equality, that stability mattered more than fairness. And it worked. The votes changed, the offices emptied, the legislature bent. Reconstruction ended, not by law alone, but by fear. Later, we wrote it into constitutions, poll taxes, literacy tests, rules that sounded neutral but were never meant to be. We called it governance. We called it tradition. We called it the natural order of things. History would call it something else. But by then, the power was already secured.
You have to understand the period. After the war, everything was unsettled. Titles were unclear, courts were overwhelmed, records were inconsistent. That kind of environment creates opportunity. Jonah Hedgesfield didn't invent fraud. He refined it. The first step was proximity. He positioned himself as a helper, someone fluent in paperwork, law, and procedure, dealing with people who were newly free but deliberately undereducated. The transaction was framed as protection, a temporary measure, a formality. The mark on the paper mattered more than the understanding of it. Once land was transferred, the second step followed naturally: debt. Property taxes, insurance premiums, processing fees, costs that could never quite be met. Miss one payment and ownership reverted, cleanly and legally, back to the insurer. That land was then leased back through sharecropping arrangements. Labor without equity, risk without reward. Over time, the model expanded. Redline districts were classified as high risk, not because of property value, but because of who lived there. Loans were denied, insurance premiums increased, maintenance declined, blight followed predictably. Each outcome justified the next decision. Courts upheld contracts, legislatures rewrote eligibility, banks coordinated lending, insurance companies standardized exclusions. None of it required violence. It required paperwork. By the mid-20th century, the pattern was locked in. One family accumulated assets, leverage, and institutional credibility. The other inherited instability, rent instead of ownership, wages instead of equity, survival instead of growth. This wasn't a single crime, it was a system, and systems don't look like theft when they're written into policy. They look like business.
Sometimes the quiet is all the proof you need that you're moving forward.